So today I want to talk about the end of the Aim to be a Master series and give you my thoughts before we move on to Pokemon Horizons. I know this review is late, so I won't bother with the recap. Instead, I'll give you my general thoughts on the final episodes and the finale. So getting right into it, let's talk about episode 7 where we got the return of Lapras. I thought this was a nice episode and it was great seeing Ash and Lapras reunite, but while watching the episode, the first thing that came to mind is exactly what Misty said at the end about them just using a Pokeball to move Mare, and I was hoping to see it for the entire episode, but that didn't happen or come up till the end, which just made the episode feel like a waste of time. So despite enjoying Lapras' return, I give this episode a 5 out of 10. Moving on to episode 8, this was an interesting episode that featured Ash, Brock, and Misty helping a Bayonet search for his lost trainer, who we eventually learn is Nurse Joy. The plotline for this episode wasn't anything grand, but it was still enjoyable, and I love how the episode was presented, and I thought it was great how they slowly hinted towards Nurse Joy being its owner. Overall, I thought this was a great episode for what it was trying to do, and I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Moving on, now let's talk about episode 9, Team Rocket's counterattack. In this episode, Team Rocket reunite with all of their old Pokemon and decide to hatch one last plan to catch Pikachu. I thought it was great seeing all of Team Rocket's old Pokemon again, which finally gave Jesse and James a full team of 6 each for the first time in the series. The plot was a typical Team Rocket plan that involved Mine Jr., which was cool, but it wasn't anything too grand in the long run. Overall, this made for a nice fan service episode that showed LATIOS helping Ash for the first time since they met, so I give it an 8 out of 10. Now let's talk about episode 10, Ash and LATIOS. This was the end of the LATIOS subplot that was quietly happening in the last 9 episodes. In this episode, we find out that LATIOS has been on the run from a Pokemon hunter who captured her friend LATIOS, so they all decide to team up and go and save it, which leads to Ash battling a Pokemon hunter and teaming up with LATIOS briefly, and then defeating the Pokemon hunter. Well, I thought this was a cool idea and concept to see Ash get along with LATIOS and battle with LATIOS. In the end, it didn't amount to anything but a rescue, since LATIOS didn't really appreciate Ash's help afterwards, and Ash didn't catch LATIOS either. Instead, they just fly off and go home to end the arc, which justifiably made a lot of fans mad. For me personally, I'm not mad that Ash didn't catch it, since I consider that a possibility. After 5 episodes of them not talking, I'm mad that the arc itself amounted to nothing. It seemed like they were attempting to build towards Ash catching LATIOS at first, but that didn't happen. Then in the last 2 episodes, it seemed like Ash would at least get LATIOS to get along with humans, but that didn't happen either. Instead, Ash just barely became friends with another LATIOS, which feels like a waste of time now since we know that movie 5 is 100% canon, considering we saw Bianca and the better LATIOS at the end of the episode. That was essentially the biggest takeaway of the arc to me. Seeing Altamar LATIOS and Bianca was great and was probably my favorite moment of the episode since I watched movie 5 again recently, but all it does is highlight how introducing a new LATIOS to the same trio was a waste of time. If anything, they should have used the old LATIOS and tried this arc with the new LATIOS from a different angle. Overall, I give this episode a 3 out of 10. Everything plot related was rushed or poorly written, making this a massive missed opportunity. Now let's talk about the final episode in the end of Ash's journey, episode 11 of the Aim to be a Master series, which is episode 147 of Pokemon Journeys and episode 1232 of Pokemon, the Rainbow and the Pokemon Master. This was Ash's final episode as the main character, where we learn what a Pokemon Master actually is to him. But before I get to that, let's talk about the episode's main events and the highlights before I give you my final thoughts on the ending and Ash's journey as a whole. The first thing I want to talk about is Ash's final goodbye to Brock and Misty. I really appreciated the 2 of them in this series, and it was nice seeing them end this final journey with Ash because it brought the entire story of Ash's adventure full circle by giving us one last adventure with the original trio, which I thought was great and well deserved. While I do think it would have been nice to see some other characters along this journey like maybe Mare or Max, they likely just stuck with the original trio because they only had 11 episodes to work with. Next, let's talk about Ash's return home, where we got to see Tracy for the first time in a while and his newly evolved Venomoth, which I thought was cool, as well as Gary, who asks Ash how much closer he is to becoming a Pokemon Master, which is a question that keeps Ash thinking for the rest of the episode. This was Gary's final appearance in the series, and although it seemed minor, I think it was a great full circle moment because of how it showcases Gary, who has served as a catalyst for Ash reaching his potential in the beginning of the series through battle, and in the end after Ash has reached his max potential in battle, with him asking what's next on his journey. After that, we see Team Rocket go after Pikachu one last time, but that's when Ash reunites with Pidgeot, who helps him defeat Team Rocket one last time, giving us the final blast off, and that's followed by Ash asking Pidgeot to rejoin him, which was another full circle moment that came as a surprise. Later on, as Ash is resting, he thinks back to what Gary said about being a Pokemon Master, and this is where we learn what his true intentions are, because he says that being a champion is not his goal, and that he still considers himself a challenger, and follows that up by saying that he still wants to have more adventures and meet more Pokemon. Then he says that he wants to make friends with all the Pokemon in the world, since that's what it means to be a Pokemon Master to him. After that, we see him get up and look towards the rainbow above him, and he asks Pikachu if he'll be there when he becomes a Pokemon Master. After that, they run towards the rainbow as Ash heads home to pick up his new shoes, which not only make reference to his original hat, but also symbolize his next steps as he heads towards the path of becoming a Pokemon Master. And as he walks down a path of sakura trees, which represents a new beginning, we see Team Rocket who are following closely, and then we get the final moments of the series with Ash doing what we saw him do in episode 1 of the Aim to be a Master series, as he chooses his path with the help of Pikachu, and with that the series ends. It took me a long time to get to this review, not only because I was busy, but also because I wasn't sure how to frame it or give you my thoughts, so I decided to go with the half recap, half review. When it comes to this episode, it was pretty simple in nature. We learned what being a Pokemon Master was to Ash, which made it the most significant episode of the series. When it comes to my thoughts on Ash's definition of being a Pokemon Master, I think it was very in line with his character, and proof of his growth in the series. When the series started, the path to being a Pokemon Master seemed to be very battle driven for the most part, but there were moments with Ash meeting, helping, and bonding with Pokemon along the way. This was typically the focus of every Pokemon movie to a degree if you exclude the lore, especially when you look at the alternate universe movie The Power of Us. That movie probably did the best job of showing what Ash would be like as a Pokemon Master. But getting back to the episode, before Ash described what being a Pokemon Master was to him, he said that being a champion wasn't his goal, and that he still sees himself as a challenger, which seems like a contradiction given that he's traveled 6 regions attempting to be a Pokemon champion, but I think this is what shows the growth in his character, because I think from Alola till now, Ash's main focus wasn't battling to become stronger, it was connecting with Pokemon through battle, which has in turn made him strong, which is evident when you look at how successful he's been in the last 2 generations. Ash becoming world champion wasn't proof that he became a Pokemon Master. Ash proving that he could battle and connect with Pokemon on this level was. Although becoming champion was part of becoming a master, I think his main focus was connecting to Pokemon so he could make it happen, because without that connection he couldn't have reached this level, which is why he said that everything matters. This isn't about his team per se, but more so about how all of his experience has helped him reach this level of battle, which is why he still sees himself as a challenger, because he can always gain more experiences by making friends with more Pokemon. Although it seems like Ash's goal was just to become friends with Pokemon, this is a conclusion he would not have reached without becoming this strong. And to answer the question that everyone wants to know, is Ash a Pokemon Master? I would say that based on all of his current experiences and bonds with Pokemon, the answer is definitely yes, but he still has room to grow as a Pokemon Master, which is ultimately the greatest message of the series and why it went on this long. I think this was a great way to wrap up the story while also leaving it open-ended for a possible return. With that said, thank you to Ash for the endless memories and experiences. It's been over 20 years since his journey began, and I've enjoyed this series my entire life, so I can truly say it's given me some of the greatest moments ever, so thank you. With that said, that wraps up my review of Ash's journey and the Aim to be a Master series. Next up is Pokemon Horizons, and those reviews will come out soon. Thanks for watching, and bye.